I feel like the industry has shifted in this direction of like, well, if we make it look really real, you're not going to notice that it's not that good of a game. So much, I feel like a lot of these games are more about like, how do we market it? How do we market it visually instead of actually making like good games? I miss video games being a piece of art, something that you're supposed to immerse yourself in and experience and like mean something to you, because now it feels like video games are content. Subscribe! Hello, YouTube. We're going to be watching a video about the PS5 Pro being $700 because that's crazy. Would I personally pay $700 for a PS5? No, but I wouldn't have paid the $500 either because I'm a PC gamer. I'm a real gamer and not a fake console gamer. This is obviously a sarcastic joke. Please don't be mad. A lot of you guys are new and you don't know when I'm being sarcastic. If I'm saying something that seems ridiculous and very, very stupid, it's because I'm probably joking. I apologize for the dryness of my humor. Baba Booey these nuts.
Gals me Mudahar. And, you know, something that I've been quite upfront about is how much this generation of gaming really kind of lacks the oomph of really even the previous generation, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One gen, right? You know, when the PS4 dropped, you know, right from the get-go, you started getting games like Assassin's Creed Unity, which, granted, was a buggy release when it came out, but let's not forget the fact that they were building exclusives, really pushing the hardware as much as they could, visually giving you something that you wouldn't have gotten a generation before. And nowadays it feels like, honestly, most games that you really care about that come out on the PlayStation 5 probably have a PS4 port, and same thing with if you're on the Xbox platforms as well. It really feels like a generation that hasn't really jumped at all, and it's been out for years at this point, okay?
When did the PS5 come out? That shit released in 2020? I did not realize it had been that long. It has been 4 years since the PlayStation 5 was released. How many of them are how many games are PlayStation 5 exclusives? I feel like the only game in a really long time that I'd been super interested in as like a PS5 exclusive was, what was it called? It was the one that had the sexy ladies in it. What was that called? Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was the only game in a long time that I heard that was like a PS5 exclusive that like I wanted to play. But it was kind of like, oh, I don't have a PS5. Oh, well. Oh, no. Well, that's fine. And then it was like really popular for like 2 weeks to stream. And then it was like dead, basically. I'm sure a lot of people still play it and everything, but like, I just don't care, you know? So I guess that was kind of my question is like, how many PS5 exclusives really are there? And it looks like it's mostly Spider-Man. Which, like, valid. The Spider-Man games look good, but I just feel like, I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of, like, a PC gamer, and I just don't really care otherwise.
To say this is the next generation or anything, we're in the middle point. And
Right.
What denotes a middle point these days in a video game generation? It's when you start seeing these pro consoles being thrown out.
God.
So this is something that I was really excited for. As somebody that's a fan of video games and somebody that likes the most cutting-edge stuff, this is the PS5 Professional. That's what it looks like. It's the same thing as a PlayStation 5, except it's got 3 stripes on the side, okay?
Well, they're not just stripes. It's obviously aerodynamic. There's slits in the console, which clearly adds to the it's ribbed for pleasure. Insane. The ribs are clearly to help aerate the console so that it runs more effectively. It's just like fans in a PC, obviously. The 3 stripes makes it run better. Clearly. It obviously matters.
Somehow the fans are right here and they do not have exit ports. I had to buy a separate little case for my PlayStation 5 just so it could breathe properly.
What?
So to give you an idea, what should you get excited about with a system that has, let's look at the games list. So when you buy a PlayStation 5, these are the exclusive games right now. You can't play this 21 set of games on anything else but a PlayStation 5. So you would think, what?
21 games? That's it? In 4 years. In 4. Quattro. Wild.
Muda, this probably is a list that is exhaustive, and it's a list that contains some serious jaw-dropping titles. One of them being Astrobot, which is a great game that came out and, literally, I think like a week ago. Awesome title, fun game. It's one of those callbacks to Sony
Oh, it's that platformer we saw the other day. That one looks really cute, to be fair.
mascot stuff. Astro's Playroom came bundled with the PlayStation 5 as a technical test. But of course, you've got serious games like Death Stranding 2, which is coming out next year. And while that looks nice, you got Demon Souls, a 2020 release, a remake of Demon Souls from the...
Yeah, Demon Souls, brand new game. Yeah, baby, Demon Souls, a brand new game that they made up on their own. That's a PlayStation new concept game that has never been seen before. Brand new. It's definitely not like a trillion years old. Remakes are insane.
PlayStation 3, and if you're like, whoa, maybe the gameplay is vastly different. No. It's a visual upgrade. I would say the gameplay is pretty much almost near identical to the original From Software release back in the PlayStation 3. You've got games like...
Yeah, so we did a slight visual upgrade to an otherwise a game that looks like it's from 2009, if I'm looking at the correct thing. 2009. Yeah, yippee! Thank you so much. You didn't modernize it at all. You didn't modernize it. You just slapped a coat of paint on it and re-released it. That's insane.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which by far is the only game that I've played out of this entire generation where I felt like, yeah, this is what I bought a PlayStation 5 for.
Is that a remake too? That's gotta be a 7. Not really. What does that mean? Rebirth would mean that it was a remake. It is a remake. A rehaul remake. Okay, so it is a remake. Okay, thank you.
You've got Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which is nearly identical to the PlayStation 4 version of the game.
They remade... I didn't even know. I don't keep up with console stuff. I'm just be honest. Last of Us Part 2 remade? When did that release originally? We're re-releasing games that released in 2020. Didn't even give it a decade. Didn't even give it half of a decade. Didn't even give it half of a decade before we remaster it and re-release it. Holy shit. I am shocked by that. I didn't even know that. I don't keep up with console stuff. I play PC and PC only, except for sometimes Nintendo, but not really anymore.
Running underneath the PlayStation 5, if you buy Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, you are a cuckold, okay? That's just simple as...
Yeah, honestly. No, he's right. Let him cook. Hey, you might not like what he said. That doesn't make him wrong.
Don't make the rules. That's just how it is. You've got Rise of the Ronin, Spider-Man 2, and you've got Synapse, Stellar Blade, and Silent Hill, The Short Message. Now, in terms of gaming, I would say that a lot of the games that come out now are pretty decent, right? Like, obviously, if you took exclusives out of the ring, I would say this generation does have some pretty nice stuff. For instance, the Resident Evil 4 remake, I thought was a pretty good remake, pretty good reimagining of something on modern hardware. Something like Grand Theft Auto 6, which is dropping literally next year, I think, hopefully next year, I think is a pretty good showcase of gaming going forward. When I think of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good, Final Fantasy VII remake sequel, which actually used the hardware that I purchased because of its vast, the vast map size, the vast world to explore. And honestly, when you think about the PlayStation...
So, would you guys agree? I've never played a Final Fantasy game in my life. I know there's going to be a comment going, please, X, please, you gotta play Final Fantasy, it's so good! And maybe I will, but probably not, I'm going to be honest. Was that good? I don't know. Not 16, this is about 7. 7 was great. Okay, if it was good, then slay.
5 or really these modern systems, you're really looking at load times being a lot faster. For instance, because SSDs are mandatory in these devices, dying in a video game means instead of waiting 1 minute, you come back in literally seconds. When you're loading into new zones, you literally load in seconds. When you think about transitioning in massive open worlds, you're not looking necessarily at crazy amounts of pop-in or data having to be streamed in. The game, because it's running on an SSD, runs a lot better. When you think about the CPUs being massively upgraded compared to the generation before, you're looking at big open world games finally running at 60 frames per second, okay? I don't think there's anybody that's going to deny that games like Spider-Man 2 don't look brilliant on modern hardware. So anyways, looking at the PlayStation 5...
I understood a good amount of that nerd speak. What I started thinking about, I'm going to be honest, I'm really excited for the Nintendo Switch, the upgrade version to come out and be like 2% better. Because I'll say I do have the Nintendo Switch Pro version. It's not called a Pro. It's called the OLED, in which it is marginally better processing and it has an OLED screen. Gotta say, massive fucking waste of money, but at the time I was a Pokemon streamer, and so I justified it. So I have it. It was not worth the money. I don't recommend it, but I can't wait for the Switch 2 to just be complete poop ass. I just know it. I don't know. It's gonna be like 2% better and like $200 more. And if I'm not mistaken, they're considering making Switch Nintendo games more expensive as well. Is that not a thing? Weren't they saying they were going to start making them like 70 or 80 bucks too? So yeah, I can't wait to have the Nintendo Switch 2 with barely any better processing power, the same shitty games that are more expensive. They're already 70? Jesus Christ. I've been out of the Nintendo game for too long, and I'm going to go ahead and stay out. Disrespectfully, yeah.
Like this. What do they have? They got a GPU upgrade, advanced ray tracing,
Woo!
and something they call PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. So how much does all of this juicy shit cost, ladies and gentlemen? Well, Sony was proud enough to showcase, according to the PlayStation 5, which doesn't contain that disk drive built in, this is going to be priced, I'm not joking.
No built-in disk drive to a PlayStation is great. I think, actually. No. I actually think that's a fantastic idea. I think more consoles should do that. Let's take out the disc drive. Don't even give us a controller with it. Have the controller be a separate purchase, always. Never include a controller. Don't include the cord. Make it a separate purchase to have the cord that plugs into the wall, you know? Let's have it all just be separate. Break it down. Let's all have it be separate and their own costs and prices. All of them. Then maybe they'll finally make a good fucking game. Maybe they'll finally make some good fucking games. How else are they going to recover from Concord $100 million just burnt to a crisp, vaporized like dust? They got to recover the cost somehow. And I think it makes a lot of sense. This is a joke. That's disgusting. I can't believe that.
I'm not shitting with you. $700 US,
Insane.
okay? 700 USD. Now I did the math. I did the Jaguar math, boy.
His fucking eyes look so crazy. he's like, look at the math. Look at the math. I command you.
That's 952 Canadian pre-tax.
God damn.
When you get this shit at a store and you put it up on the counter, you're looking
God,
at 4 fucking digits, a decimal point, and 2 fucking digits.
I didn't pause to say anything important. I just wanted you to see the look on his face. This is sent Mudahar over the brink. And myself as well. Damn, all of us.
Right after it. And that's just the console, okay? Now, what if you wanted to play some video games online? Well, you gotta get that PlayStation Plus subscription. Oh, hold on there, Chief. What about a controller? Now, I don't usually buy an extra controller. At least this generation I did, because, I use them on, PCs and whatnot. That's gonna cost you money. And given how fragile the DualSense controller is, okay? You're probably going to be buying a couple of those this generation.
Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. But what about the games? Well, you're going to be buying them at $70 a pop. All right? Boom. It all adds up. Now, I started doing the comparisons on PC.
If you really want high quality, really, really high quality, ray tracing and all of those things, really good, graphics processing, best way to get that, and you don't have to update it every year or every couple years, get a fucking PC, bestie. Over time, the console is more expensive. Save your money, and then over time, get a new PC. You can wait until Cyber Monday stuff, get some deals on some parts, and you will be able to not have to do this. I have an Xbox controller that I got for $40. That I plug in and I use it and I never have to worry about it. I got stick drift on it because I used it a fuckload after a year. But it's $40. You don't have to do all of this rigmarole and hullabaloo. You just have a PC And you know, the great thing is you don't have to pay for online. You already pay for your internet. And if you want new parts, you can get new parts. You just upgrade as you can, or if you want to, if you have the money, if something goes wrong. Like, it's really like, come on now. I feel like there has been a point in this life where like a console definitely did seem worth it compared to a PC. We're no longer at that point. Because, like, you can't really, like, easily add more storage if you need more storage on your console. You can do that on PC. If you'd like to upgrade your PC, you can do that. The console just is a brick that you have that upfront is somewhat cheaper, but over time, it's just so ass. Consoles, that's so expensive. Even the PlayStation 5 is so expensive. And the thing is, you can play like anything almost. A lot of like Xbox, like most Xbox exclusives, you can play. There's so many ways you can play free games through Xbox as well. You can play like anything in the whole world on a PC, except for like a handful of games that realistically usually are not games that are like must plays. You can use the PC. You can also use the PC for other things like your job or school or like whatever. You can hang out with your friends on your PC. They're in the Discord.
PC gaming and stuff, and I was like, whoa. You know, for the amount of money you're spending, if you really wanted to be in the market, you could pick up some of these PC games on sale at a Best Buy, which, by the way, they're screwing you somewhat when it comes to a, pre-built. Usually if you want the best value, build your own if you can, if you have the chops for it. But, buying something for $1,400 here with an i7 13700F, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte SSD, and an RTX 4060, I would say still wipes the floor with the PlayStation 5.
100%.
And that's not including you have to pay for the, peripherals that are proprietary or pay for the fucking subscription you need to play peer-to-peer games with friends. It's insane. It's insane.
He's literally spitting mad. He's spitting. Blood is spitting right now. Like, it's really so much more worth it to use a PC at this point. Like, just cost and value wise, like what you actually get from a PC versus what you actually get from a console is like the value prospect is just so significantly more. You can do anything on your PC and it also plays games. You can also pay your bills there. Like, it's just not worth it. There just comes a point. It's just hot.
The lengths people have to go to get nickel and dimed on a console storefront. But anyways, I wanted to see, what does this include, okay? They got an upgraded GPU. So with the Pro, we're upgrading to a GPU that has 67% more compute units than the current console and 28% faster memory, right? So obviously it's going to be more performant, meaning that instead of 60 frames, you're looking at obviously a number higher than it. You're looking at faster loading. You're looking at faster things being filled in because of the memory. Overall, this enables 45% faster rendering for gameplay. Oh, yeah.
Wow, most PCs already do that, and you don't have to pay to go on the internet with them. So, I don't know. Up to you, I guess.
45%. So we're going from 60 up to 90 FPS. Okay. Advanced ray tracing. We've added even more powerful ray tracing that provides more dynamic reflection and refraction of light. Allows the rays to be cast at double, at times triple the...
Oh my god, the ray tracing! Who gives a fuck about it? Can we just be honest that, like, they tout this ray tracing shit of being like, oh my god, the craziest shit in gaming. I usually turn that shit off. If there's a toggle for it, I turn it off just because I don't want to deal with the extra processing. It doesn't add enough to my game that I'm like busting to add like so much extra processing onto my PC. I don't give a fuck about ray tracing. And not even every game has ray tracing options for it. Like, who cares that you could do advanced ray tracing on your PS5? I don't even give a fuck, and I can do that on my PC anyway. There are so few games, and it just doesn't add enough to, like, my immersion for me to give a fuck about it. Motherfuckers were immersed in, like, Tomb Raider with the triangle titties. Motherfuckers was immersed in polygons. No one needs ray tracing to the point of buying something like this.
Speeds of a current PS5 console. Now, ray tracing is one of those things. When I heard about it on the PS5 and the Xbox when it was launching, I was like, okay, this is impressive, because what it's going to do is it's going to set a standard so that ray tracing is more integrated into video games. Now, the thing with ray tracing is it is an incredibly expensive form of graphics rendering.
Yes.
For instance, Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077, one of my favorite games of last year. I was playing Cyberpunk pretty much with path tracing on my computer with the but in order to get that running, in order to get this visual quality, I had to use things like DLSS in order to run the game at a far lower resolution and upscale it through artificial intelligence and run it through frame generation technologies to claw back as much playable performance as I could, even with an RTX 4090, which costs, I would say, twice the amount, even more than this one system. That's how expensive ray tracing and in some cases path tracing can be.
Well, it's also like, I do agree. I'm done with realism and graphics. I don't care. I feel like a lot of games have gotten really stuck in this, like, but it looks so real. We got the realism. Look at the freckles on her face. You can see like the separate like cones in her eyeball. You can see the vein in her eyelid. And it's like, but like, is it a good game? Is it actually an enjoyable experience with good gameplay and a story that I care about? Because I don't give a fuck that I can see the bitches fuzz in the dinosaur game. Like, Elden Ring does not have those like high fidelity, perfect graphics, right? Elden Ring has, the graphics can be a little bit crunchy, you know? I don't give a fuck what Elden Ring looks like on that level. I don't need to be able to see the peach fuzz on Moog's ball sack. I literally just want a good game. The visuals are incredible in Elden Ring, obviously. There are so many spots where like players will put like a beautiful view ahead and you can stand there and see something so gorgeous. The visuals are incredible, but we don't need this high realism shit to make a good game. And a shit game is still a shit game, even if it's highly realistic, period. I'm sorry. I feel like the industry has shifted in this direction of like, well, if we make it look really real, you're not going to notice that it's not that good of a game. So much, I feel like a lot of these games are more about like, how do we market it? How do we market it visually? How do we easily market something instead of actually making like good games, incredible games, life-changing games? Because I'll be real, you know, memes aside, Elden Ring changed my life, changed me as a person. It's a game that means more to me than I can possibly say. I love that game, but it is not like this high fidelity shit, and I wouldn't want it to be. It is exactly perfect as it is. It's art. I miss video games being a piece of art, something that you're supposed to immerse yourself in and experience and like mean something to you, because now it feels like video games are content.
It is a very computationally expensive form of graphics rendering, which, depending on the game, sometimes actually is worth it, if you ask me. For Cyberpunk, it is. But some games, you find the implementation kind of a little lacking. Like, I don't think it's all that impressive in games like Star Wars Outlaws, but, you know, it depends. If they want to push this, it's because they introduced technology to the original PlayStation 5 release. Clearly, it wasn't there other than, you know, maybe doing a couple things, you know, relatively well. Like most games that use ray tracing nowadays on the PlayStation 5, in my opinion, you know, they often have like one specific type of suite. Like for Cyberpunk, it'll be like shadow rendering, or for some games, it'll be like just reflections.
Yeah, but like when I'm shooting to man, if I don't get to see my face in the reflection of the glass, how could I possibly be immersed? I'd love to spend an extra $200 minimum plus taxes, so it's even more, so I could see the reflection of the gun while I shoot that man in his head. Otherwise, how can I possibly enjoy the game? I guess.
Never be the whole suite of ray tracing technologies because that becomes too expensive. Obviously with this, they want ray tracing to be a big dominant part with their own games and with other games that are coming out. I suspect stuff like Grand Theft Auto 6 probably have a lot of ray tracing based on what I've seen in the trailer and what you've seen from other technical analysis. It is something that is definitely going to benefit from this one boost. Then of course they've got AI.
But that makes sense in a way for something like Grand Theft Auto, because kind of the point of it is a sort of like realism. Like it's not real. Like people are not doing, you know, Grand Theft Auto shit often in real life, but there is an aspect of it being like real. It makes sense to have higher realism, and it isn't just part of a gimmick because hopefully Grand Theft Auto is as good as the other games. I need to play, I have GTA 5. I've never played it. I just have it. We should play it sometime. It's a parody of reality, right? There is a realism aspect to what Grand Theft Auto is. And so it makes sense to have that like ray tracing and stuff as an added bonus to what I'm hoping is a good game on top of that for GTA 6. But it's like, I don't give a fuck that the game with dinosaurs in it has fucking peach fuzz. I don't remember what that game is called. I just know it's that one redheaded character that they put in Genshin Impact at some point for some fucking reason. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't care that I can see her peach fuzz. There's dinosaurs in that game. It doesn't add anything for me. Is it a good game? Is it a good story? If not, I just don't care.
AI-driven upscaling, which they've got PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. So basically, like technologies like DLSS and FSR, it runs the game at a lower resolution so you can get, you know, a higher resolution looking output. Basically, the theory is if you can't run the game at like 4K, you're running the game at like 1080p and having AI, you know, upscale that image so it looks as close to the 4K as it possibly can. And generally, I am okay with this stuff if it's used properly. If it means that they're usually, you know, the game is well optimized, but generally for older graphics cards, they find a way for them to get a little bit more life out, not to be used as a general assist, right? Like when a game company tells you you're gonna need it to get a playable frame rate. I think at that point, the game is just unoptimized, or ray tracing is such a heavy focus that they want you to be ray tracing the game, and there's just no way to ray trace without having to like upscale or throw every assist to claw back the performance.
That makes sense. I mean, if it's something that it's supposed to help, you know, an older generation still get good quality and be able to play the game well, that's great. This is a little bit over my head, I'm going to be honest, because I don't typically play games that are like super hard on my computer. I do think it's fair to say that like if every single game needs a boost, like a crutch essentially, to be able to play it with ray tracing, then like what the fuck is the point? Like how is that worth it? How is it worth it to have ray tracing in these games if if it takes so much that they don't bother to like optimize it, and so it's just like, okay, well you gotta have all these crutches and tools to make it work, yippee. I don't care.
So yeah, these are all the actual assists that are being provided, and what they said was something that really sealed the deal for how needless this upgrade is.
Right.
So Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon Souls, Dragon Dogma 2, FF7 Rebirth, GT7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, The First Descendant, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered are the first games that are going to be like, you know, PS5 Pro enhanced. Now, to me, this is the biggest laugh.
Well, if we're going to enhance the graphics on The First Descendant, I'm not going to sit here and complain. I think the graphics look quite nice, but if we get a little boost to that, I would not mind seeing it. I'm not buying a PS5 though, fuck that.
Because these games already look great on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like there's really no reason to be goddamn that excited for this entire situation, because those games that I just listed look jaw-droppingly amazing on the PS5, and in some cases their performance is great. Even the worst case scenario out of this, which would probably be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or maybe Dragon's Dogma 2, still look good on a PlayStation 5. The PS5
graphics should be an addition to an already fantastic game. It should be the cherry on top. I would honestly rather play a game with dog shit graphics if it was a good game. I will play an ugly ass game as long as it's stylized well, because the Concord, we have to understand the importance of art direction, okay? We have to understand the importance of art direction, because, like, you know, Concord is a good example of why that's important. Like, Minecraft is a great example of that, right? At this point, Minecraft is incredibly iconic in the way that it is stylized, because it's Minecraft. But we're not going to sit here and pretend that Minecraft has any crazy graphics. It's just got the stylization, but people love Minecraft because it's Minecraft, because of the game that it is, because of the sandbox nature of it, and the way the multitudes and thousands and gazillions of ways that you can enjoy it. I don't care that I can't see the individual strands of hair on the llama. I don't care that I can't see the pores on the villagers' faces. I want to play Minecraft, to do Minecraft stuff, because it's good as it is. Having good stylization and art direction is important, but this like high fidelity, insane realism, like it just like, I don't feel like anybody cares. If it's not a good game, it's not a good game.
5 Pro, from what I suspect, will usually just give these games maybe that final push to get to 60 frames, or just actually have them running at 4K. Now, I'm more interested in
Wow, 60 whole frames. You know, a lot of those games you could play on way more than 60 frames on a PC anyway.
60 frame stuff, you know, more than the 4K, because honestly, like most upscaling technologies, in my opinion, get there. I really care how the game feels in my hand when I'm like moving my character around.
Exactly.
That's more, you know, apparent to me than anything else. Now, the reality with this list is, the fucking list doesn't mean anything. These games look good. This product could have been more useful had they released it alongside like GTA 6. Because you know, if they had basically said, look, Grand Theft Auto 6 runs at 30 frames on the original PS5, but this will actually get things running at 60 frames per second.
Yippee!
That might...
Yippee! I can play games on 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro for $700 fucking dollars plus taxes instead of just playing the same exact game on like 120 FPS on my PC. You guys, like, that's so insane to be like, oh, we can finally get it at 60 FPS. On PC, 60 FPS is considered like below standard. Bare minimum 60 FPS. Now, if a game releases on PC that doesn't have 120 on it, people be bitching mad style. 60 is like old shit. But yeah, let me pay $700 for the PS5 Pro to get like bare minimum on PC. Maybe, by the way. Hopefully.
Have been enough to convince a lot of people to think, yeah, biggest game of the generation, double the frame.
At a 60 FPS baseline, yes, but they don't actually run at 60 FPS is I think the point, right? It's supposed to be, but the games don't actually run at 60 FPS, especially I believe these like higher, like with ray tracing and stuff. So like normally, no ray tracing, none of this fancy ass shit. Technically, yes, it should be 60 FPS. But with all of this other bonus stuff, no, I don't believe it can run that.
Frame rate if I buy this product. That might push people there. But some of the stuff they talk about is a PS5 Pro game boost, which applies to more than 8,500 games in the PS4 and the PS5 library, it seems. Which, again, doesn't really mean anything. PS4 Pro had the same, like, game boost technology. All this is going to do is, again, if a game doesn't run smooth enough, it'll provide enough resources, brute force-wise, to just push those games to their frame rate caps, or, you know, keep their resolution sticking more towards the top end if they're dynamic.
Yippee.
You know, it's not going to go into the code, it seems, and change things around. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 runs at 30 frames on a PS5. No reason for it. It's just because Rockstar Games has a actual frame rate cap they refuse to patch out. PS5 Pro Game Boost?
30 FPS. Why? Ew. 30? Huh?
Unless it goes into games and starts removing those things by force somehow, this isn't that crazy of a feature. Then they talk about shit like VRR, which is great technology, especially if you got a fluctuating frame rate, but 8K gaming? Who cares about it? Dog, we are not even at a point where 4K gaming works well. This thing couldn't even run games at 4K properly, and you're talking about 8K technology?
I don't care about any of this. All I care about is that the game runs and that it's good. That's it. 4K, 8K, these nuts suck on my nuts. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I just want the games to run well and not be fucking shitty. But you know what can already handle most of this stuff pretty fucking consistently? Is on your PC. And you don't have to pay extra. You don't have to do all of this shit. You can just do it on your PC. You don't even have to get like the newest GPU. My GPU is a 30 series. It still runs most of this shit literally just fine. Unless I'm streaming, in which case that's different because streaming takes up a lot of processing. Just get a PC at this point. This is dumb.
Upscaling, most likely? This is stuff where, honestly, like, the more I read about it, the more I think, yeah, if you're going to be in the market to buy this product, okay, you might as well just wait for a PlayStation 6, right? Because that's probably not...
Or get a PC.
Not, you know, too far down the road. Maybe a few years, if that. This generation is already kind of ran through, guys. Like, let's be real here.
Ran through is crazy.
But I think what really, like, bugs me the most, and enough to make a video about it, is that this is available as a diskless console. But
Insane.
You do have the option to buy a disk drive separately. So just psychologically think about it. You go to a store, you buy a console for $1,000, but you don't bundle a disk drive with it, right? Sony is, and it's not just Sony, it's Microsoft. It's, you know, Microsoft even more so. These two juggernauts are moving to a world where they want to silently push out as much physical media as they can. You know, by not bundling this $700 console with a disk drive, I think Sony pretty much wants the world to kind of know, hey, probably consider buying your games digitally, which at this point, if you're buying your games digitally anyways, instead of purchasing a $700 mid-range computer locked to one digital storefront, just buy one mid-range PC that's locked to, actually no, you can use any storefront.
Insane concept. Crazy. And it has way more memory space. And you can do anything on it. You can do crimes too. I don't know. Probably don't. Like, crime is bad. This is not an endorsement of crime, but like you can do fucking anything on a PC. And that you can do as much storage as you want. And you can buy a game from literally wherever you want. I bought a game off of GitHub. Not GitHub. What is that shit? One of those itch.io type shit. You can play anything from anywhere. You don't even have to buy them all. You could get free ones. We could do emulate. You could do piracy. I don't know. Again, I shouldn't endorse crime. Do whatever you want. This is so, like, it's such a fucking massive waste.
Because here's the thing, once you lose physical media and the ability to share games around, I personally don't care much about console gaming at that point. In fact, I'm pretty much never buying a PlayStation or an Xbox or even a Nintendo product if I can't purchase the physical media. At that point, I might as well just use Steam, use Epic Games,
Literally.
use GOG to purchase my video games if all I'm doing is buying digital licenses anyways. I might as well buy them on a system that I can at least, purchase and play on my main computer and possibly play on a Steam Deck somewhere else or any other device that I have.
Literally, though, because you can just, like, the Steam Deck lets you also have, like, that handheld console experience on, like, fucking any game. My husband will play Elden Ring on his Steam Deck. And that's cross-playable anywhere. Like, it's just like, please, come on, console. It's just like, I get it. Maybe there's a couple of exclusives. Maybe you're really, really, really into swinging as Spider-Man. I don't know. But you could also just play literally anything else on the planet in the universe that exists on a PC.
At this point, looking at something like this in the direction that Sony wants to take video gaming, you might as well just purchase your own computer, install something like Bazite on top of it, and just build yourself your own console based on the SteamOS framework.
True.
That might be the better option. Because here's the thing, PlayStation 5 Pro, for $700 in this fucking economy, they want to push that is actually insane. And
Yeah.
I don't really think that this is going to be selling as much as even the PlayStation 4 Pro, because I think it's really hard to justify people to jump into the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series generation, especially when it hasn't been as overwhelmingly wild as the previous generation is. And now on top of that, you're really trying to sell a $700 system that still doesn't have a whole suite of games. By this point in the PlayStation 4 lifespan, I pretty much understand that the system established itself. There was a lot of PlayStation 4 exclusive games that pretty much already set the system above and beyond its previous, lineage. The
Right.
PS5 Pro is still trying to make a name for itself. There's still not enough.
Well, is the PS5 not still trying to make a name for itself? Like, most of the games you can play either on PC or additionally on the PS4. Like, has the PS5 made its own name? Because I feel like it really hasn't. Like, okay, I think the one thing that, like, a lot of people were like, man, I don't get to play that. Not just me, was just like, oh, I can't play Stellar Blade on my, like, I don't think it's made its own name, much as the Pro version.
Games to justify purchasing the base system, and they want you to go buy the professional system out there. Insane shit. But yeah, $700? Sony, you're out of your goddamn mind. You think people are out there paying $700
No.
for a system that has 45% better GPU performance and better ray tracing? For them to sell this, they should have absolutely shown some system like killer application. Everything they showed is stuff that already looks good and runs amazingly well on the PlayStation 5 Pro or the PlayStation 5 base. So yeah, wild stuff indeed. Honestly, I was blown away looking at this presentation, and they probably should have waited to show this more around GTA 6. They probably should have found a way to get GTA 6 bundled with a PS5 Pro. Maybe
Yeah.
I might have considered buying it, but right.
Or they could have done like one of the PS5 the GTA version, which I don't know how that would look. I think that'd look insane. But like there were options that maybe would have made this more marketable. But just dropping this in the middle of like this shit ass economy and be like, pay $700 for like barely anything you give a fuck about extra, and on top of that you have to buy a disc drive if you want to use your physical media. I don't know that anybody's gonna be super excited about that. There's gonna be those like console like old heads that like, yeah, I love console gaming, that are like really like in love with that. But realistically, that's a rough sell. That's really rough.
Right now, as it is, it's a weak upgrade in a weak generation. Anyways, I am out.
Well, there it is. I guess for me personally, I've never really played on console. Like I have, like, I'm not saying never, but most of my time playing video games, I have done it on a laptop or a PC. I've never been somebody who particularly used console. Even when I've been like a Pokemon streamer or I played Nintendo games, I did it on my PC because I can just use my capture card. I can just use my capture card and then I don't have to do it on a console. Because like, I don't want it to be like this whole separate thing. And so maybe I'm just like a console, not a hater, but like just like a not carer. I'm apathetic to the concept of a console. I've never played on console. At this point, I don't necessarily understand why you would continue buying a console, because it just seems like PCs are objectively better. Because it used to be like, oh, well, there's like the cost aspect and then there's like the special games. It's not really all that important anymore. There's so many fucking games. Yeah, so PC gaming forever. Slay on the PC. And I'll see you guys next time. Love yourselves, drink water. Don't purchase this. This is a waste of money. Perhaps buy a new PC part or a PC in general. Love yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!